Okay. Good evening, everyone. Notice hereby given the City Council of the City of Alpine, Texas will hold a meeting at 5:30 p.m. October 12, 2021 in the City Council chambers at 803 West Holland in the City of Alpine, Texas, for the purpose of considering the attached agenda. This notice is posted pursuant to the Texas Open Meeting Act, BTCA Government Code 551.043. Public notice the use of cell phones and sound activated pages are prohibited in the City Council chambers during meetings of the City Council. Members of the audience will be provided an opportunity to address the council on any agenda item after determination of a quorum and proof of notice of the meeting. Remarks will be limited to a total of 3 minutes per person. Please speak into the microphone located at the podium and state your name and address. If you have a petition or other information pertaining to your subject, please present it to the city secretary. State law generally prohibits the council from discussing or taking any action on any issue not included on the agenda. But if appropriate, the council may schedule the topic for future discussion or refer the matter to staff. No personal attacks on council members or city staff will be allowed. The mayor and city council members may call a point to order to stop personal attacks. If an individual continues to personally attack an elected official or staff member in a meeting, they may be barred. Call the speech to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you all. Okay, now call this meeting determination of a quorum and proof of notice to the meeting.
Yes, Mayor, we do have a quorum. Councilor Sandate is not present, but all other members are present here in council chambers. The notice of this meeting was posted at 2 p.m. on October 8th.
Okay, do we have anybody sign up for public comments?
We do. First up, we have Oscar Cobos.
Oscar Coles, okay.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. Oscar Cobos, Ward 5. I just wanted to real quickly touch on a couple of items here for the community of Alpine. Item number 8, information and discussion, municipal court update. We, the community, would like a real deep, in-depth clarification of this, knowing that this pattern on unresolved cases, lack of probable cause from your attorney's office, and all this is still going on. Invoices are turned in, 3 months of no prosecution. The public deserves to have transparency and accountability and all this. Very important. One second item, number 9, action items. Last time I mentioned in violation of Texas Code 551-007. Today, after visiting with the Attorney General's office last week, today I come in and y'all have deleted the opportunity to speak in action items. I don't know if we needed a council approval for this. There is no respect for the community. Once again, you had mentioned, Mayor, about talking about being a team. So today we decide to be here for the community or remain codependent of your attorney. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Next up, we have Paresh. John.
Okay.
I have my name up there.
Thank you, respected mayor and councillors, to give me the opportunity, and I will not take more than 3 minutes. I will make sure. I have already handed over some points which very much concern to my hotel or business. Whenever you get a time, please look at it, and it's really deeply concerned. I need all of your help to take immediate action to resolve this issue at my hotel. It is a sewer issue. What I can say, the state of disrepair in the city's sanitary sewer system is creating a hazardous situation and putting the public at risk. after paying all these, city taxes and all my, I can say that I'm the, between the two hotels, we are really Hampton and Holiday Inn Express. We are paying lots of taxes and utilities. And we expect some kind of really resolution for this, because it is really problem for my guests. I'm losing the revenue. They are not staying at my hotel. And there are pictures also, because rose water is coming out from the parking lot and it's horrible smell and everything. It is really unacceptable for any human being to work there. Especially now the festival seasons are coming, Thanksgiving, Artwalk, and our hotel will be busy and lots of visitors will come from the outside of the town. And I will appreciate if you can just take the action on this in real priority. We have a reputation of our lovely city of Alpine will be on stake if any guest posts their complaint on a social media. Okay, it is not good for my hotel as well as the city of Alpine too. So I really concerned about those things, and it's never means this is I have an ongoing issue since last so many years, but this is now out of hand, and I really request all of you to I can say that concern this is like if it is happening. I know that there are certain barriers for all of you, but at the same time we have to resolve it because I am a business entity since last 12 years here in the town, and we do not have any city is always, and I can appreciate all the support staff. Whenever we call, they come immediately, but those fixes are really temporary. It's not permanent, and in a week time, again, we have to call in a weekend when we are busy, all the time, 7 a.m. in the morning or in the midnight. So all those things is really frustrated for my staff, my guests, and I can say that now it's for the general public too. So I really appreciate if you can just take some kind of really action on this so that we resolve this issue. My concern or worry is
That was time. Thank you.
Sorry.
Thank you, sir.
No
Appreciate
problem.
it.
You're welcome.
Mhm. Anybody else?
Last up, we have Karen Cantrell.
Karen, okay.
City Council, Mayor, City Secretary, City Manager. My name is Karen Cantrell. I'm from Ward 1. The average cost on the water bill, the house I live in, is $43.38. I'm going to guess that's an average for all residences. I tried to get a number of water accounts, but nobody answered the phone today. So I'm going to guess that with 6,500 people in this town, probably 3,000 residences have water accounts with the water department. 3,000 times $43.38 is $130,000, $140. That's every month. You get it. Now, let's multiply that by 12. That's $1.5 million. That's a lot of money for sanitation services. And for a company that says we don't get paid to pick up illegal dumping when it's by the dumpster. I think they're paid handsomely at $1.5 million. And that's just an estimate. I don't know. There may probably be more accounts. And the other thing is section 8237 in the code of ordinances says that the contractors provided, the containers provided by the contractor are to be maintained by the contractor. Now, that's not happening everywhere. As you know, in your ward, some of the covers are warped and broken, some are missing, and that's happening. That happens all over town. And it takes forever to get them to come out there and fix it. It took me 8 months to get them to replace 5 dumpster covers. That's sad. So I don't think anything should be raised. I just think something should be paid attention to here. These are my thoughts. I thank you for listening to them. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Karen. Anybody else? That's it. Okay, we're going to move over to the presentations, and is Mr. Williams here? He's not here. I'm gonna go ahead and read the recognition. It says certification of honor and recognition hereby presented to Rawls Williams on the 12th day of October 2021 for his 4 years of service to the City Planning and Zoning Commission. Presented by Andy Ramos, Mayor. So if we get this to Ms. Williams, please. Okay, we're gonna go on to reports. I don't have a report, city attorney.
I've been working with the municipal court and we've been working through the issue of the old cases. She's gonna have a report on that tonight. Ms. Megan, Gio, and some other matters. I worked on some matters at the airport, working on some other matters regarding some vendors, but.
Can you speak a little bit louder or go to the podium, please, sir?
I've been working with the municipal judge on old cases. We've had 2 municipal courts in the last 2 or 3 weeks. She's gonna have a report on that tonight and ways we have to dispose of old cases going back quite a few. Some of them go back 3 or 4 years. I've also been working on some matters for Megan at the Alpine Airport, to try to resolve a couple of issues out there. And also been dealing with her and Gio on a couple of vendor matters where I've been responding to them. So we've been looking to take care of business. Any questions for me?
No, sir. Thank you. Okay, city manager report.
One second so I can share my screen.
Okay.
Okay, several items up for discussion. Wanting to keep everyone aware of all things grant. Everyone has brought up grants. Can we go for a grant for this? Can we get a grant for that? We want a grant for this. There are thousands, if not millions, of grants available. We're currently running on approximately 14 that are in the active pending, and then we have several for the future. I wanted to bring up the future grant possibilities so that if at any point council has an idea or suggestion, definitely email me so that I can get Marcy researching. Some things are easily obtainable and can be found. Doesn't mean we always get awarded the grant, but at least we can try. Some things are a little bit harder to go after. One thing that I focus with her a lot is, you know, what is the matching? What is it going to actually cost the city? There is no such thing as free money. Despite how much we like to say it's 100% backed, it is not 100% backed on the staff time. So we want to try and give everyone a clear picture of currently where the city's at. The USDA currently has a 55-45 match grant. We use this to buy the tractor for the airport, the much needed replacement of a 40-plus-year-old tractor. We are looking at applying for partial matching for an incinerator to be used at the animal control shelter. We've run into some issues with the larger animals. We can't exactly incinerate them, so we do throw them in what's considered a pit and let Mother Nature take care of the rest. We're also looking at possibly going for a mower for the parks. We are working with some slightly outdated equipment that does require regular maintenance, so this would be one that we could go after as well. We would be competing with ourselves. It's one of those, they have a pot of money, you put in as many applications and kind of hope you get all of them fulfilled, and if not, maybe get one of them. The Keep America Beautiful Green Bag Program is a funding available for obviously green improvements, things that help represent environmental concerns. We are looking at green furniture for the visitor center remodel. I know Heather has looked at the pricing of green furniture and has kind of taken a step back with the $3,000 bench and you get one, or $3,000 and you get 10 kind of approach. Green furniture is more expensive. We are hoping that maybe we could get at least one item to encourage the Keep America Beautiful program, as well as our Keep Alpine Beautiful. The Texas Parks and Wildlife and donations and other funding. So the splash pad has been on the table for several years. It was a big push in 18. It kind of got pushed back. The city has set aside 50,000 in a reserve account specifically for this project. Initially, the Friends of the Big Bend Parks and other organizations are wanting to help and assist with, going after grant funding foundations that can support it. The estimated cost is up in the air as we move forward through the years. The initial cost, of course, has changed because the cost of the actual equipment, the installation has all changed as well. So we are looking at possibly Texas Parks and Wildlife to see if there wasn't a small grant opportunity there that we could grab and hopefully get some additional funding to support this project. It is also a CIP. So it is in our to-do list, not to necessarily be completed this year, but to start working towards it. A big one is FEMA. We had applied in 2020 for the Building Resilient Infrastructure in Communities, which we call the BRIC grant. This one is a big one for the city. This would help with the update of our fire and flood hazard mitigation, our zoning updates, our drought contingency, and our historical properties plan. When we initially applied, there is a 25,000 estimated match that has not been determined where that match would come from. In 2020, they did not award to any community. Everything was pushed forward, and we're hoping to go after it again with consent of council. The big one with this one is really the zoning updates, the drought contingency, getting the fire and flood mitigations updated. This is crucial for our city, especially for future planning. It's good to know our flood zones. It's good to know that we have an up-to-date drought contingency plan. And the last one is a pretty big one. I've been very vocal about our wastewater treatment plant. Texas Water Development Board does offer grants and loans at a very low interest rate to assist cities who are in need. We're not actively going after these currently, but as issues arise and we get feedback from the engineers, it's important to understand that we may have to. For years, I personally have fought not to go after debt. We don't want to fall into that pattern. But at the same time, our infrastructure for water and wastewater continues to deteriorate. We can only do so much with the resources we have. And in order to make those big, huge improvements, we have to have the funding to do them. So I put it on the list really as a dependent on, as we move forward with understanding where the wastewater treatment plant is, where we understand our water utilities are at. Is this something that the city wants to do? We would have to, of course, get council approval, put an application together and request it from Texas Water Development Board. They don't make the decisions overnight. On the loans they do. They're happy to loan us money whenever we need it. But we would look at an aspect where we could get some of that grant funding or grant forgiveness so that we get more for our money and it's better for the community.
And do you know what the interest rate is on that, on the loan?
So it's averaged. Of course, currently our interest rates are fluctuating. It's been as low as 1% to 3%. The city currently has a loan with them with no interest. So I would target for something with no interest. It would be a loan of a larger amount that we would pay out over years. But we want to get the biggest bang for our buck, basically. So if we can get the lowest interest, which they do provide, besides going to the bank isn't going to give us the lowest interest, but they will. I mean, they have a process. They also have several programs that we could go after that could provide us funding to assist with maybe some of the smaller projects at a grant kind of side where they give us the money and as long as we complete it, we're okay. But we have to make sure when we go out for these that we do our due diligence and fully research so that we don't undertake more than we can handle. So these are all upcoming. But I did want to go do a little rundown. We have grants which we consider no city financial obligations. We don't cut them a check. They cut us a check. It does take our staff and our time. Some of them currently active are HIDA, which covers 2 full-time officers and a budget analysis. Go Texan, which is help with our advertising for our HOT committee with the midweek mercantile. We just got awarded this past week, actually, end of last week from the Office of the Governor, a $130,000 communications grant. This is going to provide the much needed resources for our police department for car mounted radios, a repeater, and handheld portable radios. This is something that they've been asking for years, and we lucked out and we actually got a fully funded grant to cover it. Apache has helped us for multiple years now. They've continued to help us with an estimated value of $9,440 for 400 native trees. These are the trees that we donate to the community. We kind of have one of those come pick up a tree. We have several options. They're all native to this area. We're also utilizing them for our parks to kind of build the rain garden, the little tree areas, and then hopefully down the road as these get fully rooted to start repopulating our big parks. Grants with no city that are pending. We have preliminary approval for a bike program that will provide 4 patrol bikes, trainings, and uniforms. We recently applied, the last council meeting, council approved to go for the solid waste grant, estimated at $11,500 for a community cleanup. This would cover the cost of the additional roll-off, tire disposal, and advertising. And then recently, an action item on the current agenda is a Operation Lone Star program. This is in addition to the Office of the Governor one, which would provide the much needed resources for the police department. It's estimated at $60,000 for 5 mobile data terminals. They're in the same boat. As technology changes, theirs becomes outdated, and they need to be able to keep up with the current data, the current technology, and be able to communicate with all other agencies in the area. These are the ones with financial contribution. These are the ones that we have to be very aware of and budget accordingly. The active ones currently are our TXDOT Aviation Ramp Grant. This one is a 50% match, and it's only for qualified maintenance expenses. I know sometimes people feel like, oh, well, we'll just use the ramp or everything's qualified. They've cracked down a little bit and they've become a little bit more specific in what they consider maintenance. These all apply at the airport. So the city technically spends 100% upfront, and then we get reimbursed the 50% back if it's a legit item. We also have our TXDOT Aviation Lighting Project. This is a 10% match, currently pending $95,000 payment. The TXDOT Aviation Seal Coat Project, which will be happening soon. It had a 10% match of $59,000. And then our Texas Parks and Wildlife, Pueblo Nuevo Park. This is a 50% match. The city's portion is $217,300. Currently, this fiscal year, we budgeted to set aside $75,000 to cover it. Continued, these are all pending, which means we haven't technically been awarded them, but we've done as much as we can on our end. The TXDOT Transportation Alternative, our portion is $400,000. This is the installation of sidewalks, shared use pathways, intersections around town. Everyone's aware of the NTIA broadband infrastructure. Big Ben Telephone is going to manage this on their side, but we still have the cost of the city staff time because we will be required to track the funds and make sure the reports are filed. TXDOT Aviation Airport Planning Study. This is a $25,000 city match, update of current layout plan. This is basically our Bible on how we can expand. This is very important for the airport because TXDOT uses it for future funding to see if the city's following their plan. The last plan that the city had is from 2012. And we currently cannot expand further because of where AWAS is, which brings up the second one with the AWAS relocation. We are relocating and replacing our very outdated AWAS. TXDOT Aviation has come back and required that we do look at the planning study before we do the AWAS so we can plan accordingly and where the AWAS should technically go. Water and wastewater update. I want to give a shout out to 2 of our employees. Anthony Marcus and Melvin Washington did pass their D license. It is the first step in moving forward with your licensing and a requirement to be employed in the positions. I want to give a huge shout out to our wastewater treatment plant operators. They both have taken the first B license exam. They did not pass, but they ranked really high. Like they missed 1 question. I mean, but it's the hardest test. A lot of people in the TCQ world and in the wastewater treatment plant world will tell you the B is the hardest. And if it wasn't the hardest, we wouldn't have a shortage of B operators. I'm very proud of them. They are taking additional training and some education classes and will retest soon. We are encouraging them to retest while it's still fresh in their mind so that they don't forget. We did have a visit from TCEQ. We did have the notification sent out a few months ago over the spillage at the wastewater treatment plant, where we were required to notice for boil. Although no one in town had to boil, it was very centrally located at the wastewater treatment plant. We still had to be in compliance with the requirements. They did come out to kind of make sure we were on top of things and approved an extension to become compliant. The spillage ran over into what we considered the old racetrack. It had been completely emptied. And as a result of the spillage, it was all pushed into there to obviously, keep it in one area. Our permit has removed the old racetrack as a form of usage, which means we become non-compliant. The weather doesn't help when you're trying to dry sludge and it constantly rains, it does not dry. So they did come out, they did a quick visit. We have been in compliant, we've done our notices, and we're continually to work to remove all that sludge and get it out of the old racetrack. Holiday Inn lift station is going to be brought up quite a bit tonight, and I'm just going to put it here that we are continuing to have issues, and we will move forward with requesting some engineer assistance. A big thing on the table also is our emergency preparedness plan. Senate Bill 3 has required that we submit it to TCQ by March 1st of 2022, and that we actually implement it by July 1st, 2022. This is actually an item we have already included and approved with the engineers to help ensure that we get this put into place and it's properly documented. This is our preparedness plan because of everything that has happened over the past year with the winter storm and not having the power and being able to fully provide services. They have requested that we get something in place. The water department currently does have an emergency preparedness plan. It was part of the package that I don't believe was ever presented to council, but we need the engineers to update it and ensure that it covers all the requirements under the Senate bill. Current task orders, just to keep everyone up to date. We have requested a lot of services from our engineers. We are very excited that they are very helpful. Jessica Washington has utilized them, especially in trying to stay in compliant with everything going on. We updated our wastewater treatment plant that has been completed. Contract has been approved for the first phase of the wastewater treatment plant with the aerator and automated bar screen. We've requested them to do a wastewater treatment plant evaluation to give us the knowledge and information of step 1 all the way to Z, or 30, whatever it is to get that plant to where it needs to be today. The East Side Sewer Extension feasibility study has been completed. Well improvements phase 1. Other items that have been brought up is the refurbish of Mooskie's pump station, stormwater permits, the TCQ compliance. This is the one that's ongoing. Anything that comes with TCQ title, we actually run it by them. And then of course the Holiday Inn lift station. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to stop me.
You're doing great, man.
The sanitation survey, if you're not aware, the city of Alpine is asking the public for help. What do you foresee you want your services to provide? Karen, you brought it up this evening. We have a very short survey online. I've got a goal I hope I meet, that we get so many participants, but we're going to use this to go out for our RFP for the upcoming contract. We're asking basically, do you want poly carts or do you want to continue with the dumpsters? Do you recycle? How often do you recycle? Do you use the bulky pickup? They're very short, but it's valuable information when we do this RFP, because I want to make sure that we involve the community, because I may want poly cards, but currently 79% of those who use the survey do not. They want the dumpster still. So it's important to know this, so that when we do go out for that RFP, that we ask what the community is asking for. I've sent it to the council as well, so that they can put in their information. We can't track you down when you answer it, although one person did say they leave it by the dumpster when they dump bulky items. So there's no tie back to you, but we do encourage that everyone complete it. It is available online up until the 15th, so at the end of this week. I believe the radio has been saying the 5th. I'm not 100% sure. I caught it briefly, but it's the 15th. So up until the 15th, this survey will be available for everyone. And then once we get the results on the 19th meeting, we'll have that discussion.
How many people have responded right
I
now?
can't tell you because I have a goal. I have a
Well,
goal.
I don't want to upset your.
It's less than 100. So get out there, encourage your neighbors to use it. But currently,
We have 6,000 people. There
And
would
less
be
than
about
100.
5,000 that answered.
so and it's important. We are trying to get the community more involved, and this is the first step because this is the biggest complaint we've had is the illegal dumping and the sanitation.
You know, I know that with that being an issue, I know in the past, if you did pay your water bill at one point, you were able to use the dump for free, you know, if you were a citizen here in Alpine. So that was
when the city operated the dump. The
Yeah.
dump is now under contract.
so that's something that
The future definitely will have that option if the city takes the dump back over. I know it was in prior discussions, especially with staff. I don't think the full understanding of the process was really communicated because the city could not take over the dump as of February of 2022. We have no equipment, we have no dumpsters, we have no employees, we have no certifications. This would definitely be something we'd have to invest in. The garbage trucks aren't exactly inexpensive. They are several $100,000. You would need more than one. So there's a lot of long-term like discussions and investments, and this is something the city wants to move forward with. We still have employees who remember working at the dump. So we can harness their information and knowledge and make that decision as we go forward. But with the contract coming up now, it's better to secure for, a couple of years so that we can build that up. I wanted to share with everyone a community-wide vaccination clinics. The school district sent out this information. I thought it was important for everyone to have. They're going to do the flu shot clinic on Monday, October 18th. It will be at the ISD administration building from 3 to 5. If you have insurance, there is no cost. If you do not have insurance, it's $32. And this is for your flu shots. Everyone is encouraged to get them if you are able to take them. There is another round of community-wide immunization and COVID vaccine, the COVID vaccine being the most important. It will be Wednesday, October 20th, also at the Alpine ISD administration building from 9 to 4. This will be posted online with the manager's report, so the information will be available. If you have questions though, they ask that you contact Gayla Owen, who is the district nurse. And so her information is provided. The airport is also a topic of conversation. Just because we have a lot going on out there. We did just recently, about a year ago, finish the $3 million ramp and taxiway pavement project, but they still have a lot going on. Currently, they have a seal coat project, which is a seal coat 119. It's tentatively structured to start October 28th, which is this month, and in December 16th. So the city has already paid their portion of the matching. This is where the companies that were awarded the contracts will come in and seal coat, and then they will go back and actually mark the runway back.
That's the actual runway.
This is the actual runway, yes. This is kind of a prolong the inevitable. 119 and 529 will have to be replaced at some point, but if we can properly maintain them through the resources that are available to us, it means we can have these last longer than if we don't do anything at all. The big one out there is the lighting construction. This one is expected to start in spring of 2022. It has been pushed back a year. It was supposed to start this past year. Our airport has, I believe at this point, the oldest, and we are the only airport left with this lighting structure. So it is important. We have a harder time finding replacement light bulbs and equipment to keep it running. Without it, we cannot have any night landing. So it's a very important investment. With the city match, we will be invoiced in the spring of this year for $95,000. That is the city's 10% matching. The upcoming projects, fiscal year 23, this is the airport planning study. This is the sit down, what the city is land-wise, where can they expand, where can they build, properly record where everything is located. This is our map to the airport. The city matching portion would be 25,000. The AWAS, this is also, we have important projects out there, and I don't want anyone to not think we do. We do. There's a lot of updating that needs to be done, and we're very fortunate that TXDOT Aviation is on board with it. AWAS is a huge one. This is the relocation and replacement. There was some concern over what the project actually entitled from the advisory board. It is to relocate and to replace it. It's not just a relocation or just a replacement. It is to do both. TXDOT Aviation, our planner came back and said to be prepared that the cost can run anywhere from 170,000 to 225. This is a 25% match. So the city's looking at another 43,750 to 56,250. So the city has obligated themselves to all of these projects, which means we've said that when it comes time and they invoice us, the money will be there to pay for the actual construction or planning. So it just needs to be very aware that as we move forward with budgets and we look at things and we continue to obligate the city, that we have that true discussion of where is the money coming from, because it's easy to approve, but then when we sit down at the end of the day and we have to cut that check, we need to make sure the money's there to cut it.
Is the money there for that right now?
For the lighting construction, yes. We took the money from last year and encumbered it that had been set aside for the project, and we budgeted for the remaining portion for this year. When we come up to the fiscal year 23 and 24, and you look at these projects, they will have to be budgeted accordingly. There is not a chunk of money set aside. And that is all I have.
Okay, you brought up one good point. A lot of folks, think rent money just appears, but there's a payback involved in this. And you've got to do it according to what your budget has dictated that you can pay out on these grants. Too many grants could put us in dire straits by borrowing money to match those funds. So then, we're put in again in dire straits. Okay, so I just want to bring that up because that was a good point you brought up, that on the grant money, it's not free money.
Unfortunately, no. It definitely assists us, but it's not free.
Okay. Let's move on to city updates, staff updates. And first of all, we have Randy Guzman with the gas utility department.
Hello, Council, how are you doing?
Good.
It's on his and just.
Yeah.
Okay, I was faster. Hey, Randy, just let me know when you want me to.
Change the slide. Okay, you want to go to the next one?
No. 2 seconds.
Okay, City of Alpine Gas Department 2021 report. What that consists of is the City of Alpine distribution overview, distribution integrity managed plan, which is DIMP. Distribution Facilities Replacement Program, gas sales and purchases, 2021 leak survey, and 2021 TML audit. Next page, please. Alpine Distribution System quick overview. The city of Alpine provides natural gas to the citizens of Alpine and Fort Davis. The city of Alpine operates 73 miles of main, of which 58 miles are located in Alpine and 15 miles are in Fort Davis. The city of Alpine has implemented a distribution facilities replacement program in accordance with Texas Administrative Code Rule 8.209, Distribution Facilities Replacement Section F number 3. In accordance with TAC 8.29, the city of Alpine will place 1,786 feet of steel mains in Alpine and 1,580 feet in Fort Davis. Next slide, please. 2021 Alpine Facility Replacement Program. For Alpine here, steel goal is 1,786 feet. We've replaced 950. In progress right now that we're working on is 200 feet. Pending would be 731 feet.
And you have until when?
And we have till December the 30th to get this done. So we're moving along. Weather was kind of, we got hit with a lot of rain and that kind of kept us from doing anything. When we're working with steel and we're having to weld on steel, it's not a good thing trying to weld on that steel pipe because you're standing in wet mud. So it kind of transfers that energy over to you. So we try to avoid doing that. Poly is a little different. We can kind of do it above ground as we're throwing it into the ground. Everything's done up here and it's done with a different machine. Of course, it being poly, it doesn't transfer any energy. But we're currently working on that. 200 feet is actually, the paperwork's being completed. The other 731, we've actually started today. So it's a project of what I'm considering the Quince project. And then after we're done with that alleyway of North Quince, we'll be jumping to a main that's over here at the veterinary, close to the city gate. We'll be retiring that whole section of main. And there's only one service off that main, which I'll just turn that into a one-inch service going to the veterinary. And that should complete Alpine. So estimated, hopefully, that by the end of this month, we should be okay with that one. Moving into Fort Davis. Steel goal there is 1,580 feet. We've actually removed and replaced 1,060 feet, which is 67%. Pending is 33. So we've been kind of going back and forth when we have other issues, leak surveys, we've done repairs. While I have the equipment there, we actually have been trying to get some of that done. So we've been kind of going back and forth because it takes a little while to get the equipment over there. While it's there, I just try to take advantage and we try to plan out so that we can get everything done. Being that it's so close towards the end of the month, 33% pending is not very much. So we should get on that. Hopefully, if all goes well, again, depending on weather. I'm estimating in a couple of weeks, just like I said, it just happened. Whatever happens with this over here, we'll determine that later. But I'm pretty sure we'll meet our goals by December 30th. We shouldn't have any issues. Next slide. I'm going to go ahead and let Megan present that information, since it does have to do with billing and.
I tried to convince him to let
He
me.
would do it.
So when you look at this, it's important to understand when we bill, we actually bill a month behind. So when we bill you in September, you're actually paying for August services. So when we put this together, you'll notice that September is not on there because we actually haven't received what we've purchased from WTG as far as the gas. So we don't have an actual gas bill to report for the purchase. But from October to August, We purchased from WTG Marketing $467,653 worth of gas. This is for both Alpine and Fort Davis. The city ordinance and city councils approved that, we have the markup on it and including the additional $850. And this is where we come up with the operating needs for the gas department. So our total sales at this time was $1,625,996.20. It's important to understand that the difference is what they operate on to pay their employees, to do all of their projects, to buy the equipment, to do the line replacement. It's literally all of their day-to-day operations, maintenance, equipment repairs, everything. So when you look at that difference of roughly, it comes to 1.2, it's important to know that you're operating two gas service providers, Fort Davis and Alpine, on that money. So for the end of the year, when he comes back to present, you'll get to see the full report because we will have had September's. But this is really good. The gas department is one of our more stable departments. They stay within their budget and they complete the projects as required. They are set to specific railroad commission standards. Texas also has its own standards and they comply, as you mentioned, with the DIMP.
Right.
So they ended the year very well. They balanced. They came out pretty even with what they expended and what they brought in.
And just to throw out there, I mean, we have to comply. We have no choice. I mean, I know that if there's ever any emergency situations, we can submit letters to the Railroad Commission and to the feds. But at the end of the day, if we don't comply by December 30th with what we send them every year, they could impose $10,000 fines per day till we come to this compliance. So
And
that's
Railroad
why it's
Commission
very-
doesn't allow Band-Aids.
Yeah, so we have no choice. So I mean, kudos to the employees for keeping up with all of that because it takes all of us to stay on top of all of that. So just so that we're aware of that, because I know a lot of times you'd be surprised. I mean, it's like, well, are they really out there doing what they're supposed to? It's very important that we do what we do out there. So next slide, please. So for our 2021 leak survey, City of Alpine conducted its annual leak survey in May of this year. Leak Detection Services performed the survey. The leak survey revealed a total of 13 leaks in Alpine and none in Fort Davis. That speaks volumes. Fort Davis is probably one of our tighter systems, but of course, because it has steel in the ground, we have to comply with them to change the infrastructure to poly. The leak survey here in Alpine had 8 below ground leaks and 5 above ground leaks. Grade 1 leaks, they're immediate leaks. We didn't have any. Grade 2, we had 1. We had up to 6 months to repair. It's repaired. Grade 3 leaks, we had a total of 12. We have up to 3 years for repair. We've got 7. I mean, we have repaired 7. So that means we've got 5 pending. We have 3 years. Not that we're gonna wait the 3 years, it's just we go back and forth between the projects of getting DIMP completed, and then we can go back to our leak repairs. So Fort Davis, again, it did not have any for 2021. Next slide. 2021 leak surveys for Alpine were 62% complete. Like I said, we've got 5 left. Let's see, below ground unrepaired are 5, below ground repaired 3, above ground repaired 5. So again, we've got 5 that are pending. And if we finish a little early, we'll jump right back on these. They don't give kudos for above and beyond. If we go more infrastructure change, thinking that we could get ahead of the game for next year, come January 1st, you start from 0 again. So just so that we bring that up, because I think that question has been brought up multiple times, that what if we could get ahead? They're gonna say, thank you. You're doing your due diligence because there's a lot of steel in the ground, but you start from 0 come January. TML audits for the last couple of years. In 2019 performance ratings, they audit us every year. So our rating for 2019 was a 98%. 2020 was a 99. 2021, they came 3 weeks ago. We had an audit with them. We're waiting on that packet to come back to us. We did not have any issues whatsoever. They actually grade us by gas loss, our audits from the Railroad Commission, our submissions to PHMSA. We didn't get anything back from PHMSA. They accepted our reports that we give every, in March. We've never had any kickback, so we've been doing real good with that. So once he goes through all that paperwork on during our audit and sees all that, sees the responses back from the Railroad Commission, we actually had 2 Railroad Commission audits. We had our specialty audit, which was the O&M manual plan that we have to buy. That's what I call our Bible that we have to abide by. It went through a strenuous audit for a whole week, and we got an actual great response from that, from the Railroad Commission, saying that they were so happy to see that our O&M plan could probably last us another 5 years without any issues. It is an ever-changing industry. They're always making new bills, new changes on what we have to do out there. So if any of those changes come within, we get the compliance tech to go in and change all of that. So when we have the next audit, we will fall in compliance. It's just always staying on top of the changes, and we should be okay. So pending on that result, I'm pretty sure that it'll be okay. We've been doing real good at keeping it in the 90s, so I don't foresee any issues. He was real happy with what we had. So on the next, the TML audit recommendations is to continue to review covered tasks and abnormal operating procedures in the operations and maintenance manual and updates as necessary. Qualify and requalify personnel as necessary on covered task procedures in response to abnormal operating conditions and document the meetings. Review drug and alcohol testing procedures to ensure compliance. Review the damage prevention and public awareness programs as necessary. Review the expanded requirements for the excess flow valves. Next page, continued. Review the distribution integrity management plan, which is DIMP, annually and update as necessary. DIMP records must be kept for 10 years. We've had all our, DIMP didn't come into existence until 2010, but we have all the records, even from when we were the corporation. They have, none of them have been destroyed. So it's always been said that if you can maintain all your records while you're in charge of any distribution system, and you can provide that to them even in a hard copy. So we have that storage building out there with all of that in boxes. It is also recommended that the operator consider purchasing a remote methane leak detector, RMLD, to reduce the cost of repeated leak surveys and improve emergency responses. What they're recommending there is that we try to do our own leak surveys. I don't mind doing that. It just takes away time from us doing our dailies. And if I were to do something like that, I would like to do it maybe 3 years and then call someone else to just, checks and balances, because not that we would become lax, but we wouldn't know what they would be thinking. And hey, you've been doing your own leak surveys. How do we know that these are accurate? We've always opted to do a yearly survey, and we survey the whole system. Once we become a total poly system, it's only recommended to do it every 5 years. But because they're already here, we go ahead and have them do even the poly. We don't try to divide it up. It's come in, check all the system, because you know what? Sometimes poly fails, and it's better to stay on top of it than to come back 5 years and say, hey, you have a major leak here that you weren't even aware of. So I like that recommendation. The equipment's not cheap. I think it's like $25,000 for that RMLD equipment. I would think that it would pay for itself within that couple of years if we did our own, but I don't think that I have the manpower to be able to do that every year. but it's just a recommendation. He's not saying that we have to, it's just a recommendation. System should also be inspected to ensure adequate protection from atmospheric corrosion. That's just anything above ground, our meters, any of the steel fittings or whatever. We need to stay on top of all of that and make sure that it stays painted. They're okay with a little bit of rust. It's hard for us to keep everything painted every year. As long as that we're inspecting while we're meter reading, which is considered surveillance in our system, continuing surveillance. If we see anything that's pitted, that the guys are good at documenting, we'll go and we'll schedule an appointment. We'll redo whatever's above ground, make sure that everything's safe and secure. You know, everything so far has been very good. Last audits that they go and check our systems, the railroad commission will go and pick random locations to go see. They've never found any issues to give us on any of that. So they're real happy with the system. Just like I said, continuous work on our system, and I think we'll be doing okay. And that's the end of my report. Y'all have any questions?
Yeah, Randy, well, we will give you kudos. The council will give you kudos for the great job y'all do.
Appreciate
Okay.
that.
It's a hard and it's also a very dangerous
Yes, sir.
job that y'all have to do. It's the least heard of department of all the departments. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And so you never hear people, complain, hey, about the gas and this and that. So that's to the leadership and also the team that you have out there. And make sure that you forward that to them tomorrow.
I definitely will.
Okay.
I'll definitely let them know.
And I
Yes,
need
sir.
to knock on wood to not jinx them.
Do I?
Knock on wood to not jinx them.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Maybe we could get them a new sign.
It's in progress.
Is it?
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen, it's down. They actually wanted to reuse the sign that was there, so it would cut back on the price of what they were gonna do. I think they're gonna be real happy once y'all see it. It's not gonna be like the traditional that we've had since 2012. I think there's a lot more color. It advertises our blue flame. That's when you know that you've got
Yes.
good gas coming through. Your pressures are good. It's also gonna have our logo, and it's also gonna advertise our Texas 811, which is very
Deserve a
important.
nice looking sign.
So, yeah, he's actually almost finished with it. I'm gonna repaint the frame. I actually had one of the guys sand it down real nice, and I just need to be able to get some black paint. We'll paint it up and we'll put the new sign and you'll see it.
A good deal.
Thank you.
Great
Alrighty.
report.
All right.
Thank you, sir. And next we'll have the police department updates by new chief, Daryl Lafoya.
Good evening, y'all. How y'all doing?
Pretty good.
Good. Okay. Okay, so once again, thank you for allowing me to serve my community as chief of police. I'm proud to be part of this department and hope to continue to do a good job. So we had some local events. And I went back into a little bit into August. August 16th through the 19th, we did active shooter training over at the public schools. We covered all three campuses, and then we also did the administration building. We did that jointly with Bruce County Sheriff's Office, and we also had DPS coming in there as well on some of the days. We had the first legislative update here in Texas. We held it here in our Civic Center, and we had multiple agencies. It was pretty good to see all that. We had around 50 officers from different agencies. Of course, Alpine PD, Bruce County Sheriff's Office, Soros, Presidio PD, Presidio ISD, Pecos, Pecos Sheriff's Office, Fort Stockton Police Department, Marfa Police Department. I'm probably leaving somebody out, but we had multiple agencies. It was real good. We had, it was good to be able to interact with the other agencies. And as y'all know, since 9/11, it's been always considered the first responder appreciation. So there's always something going on. So we participate in a lot of appreciation programs. The first one being at the Alpine CVP Memorial. We had the Alpine Memorial Funeral Home provided a first responders appreciation meal. And then some of the training that we had was the child abduction response training. It was held in El Paso, and fortunately, I got Felipe to go. He got to interact with the FBI, and they were the ones putting on the course. And so just to help us provide a better response if we ever have a missing child. And when he got back, Phil's gonna be my guy that everybody loves Philip, right? So I have Philip interacted with everybody. I sent him out to the hospital. He met with the senior circle and did a presentation on being scammed. And we have other locations for him to do it. We want to get with the Sunshine House, the Alpine Manor Apartments, and get all those coordinated. And so he can put on presentations for those areas. But one of the things that we used to do in the past, we also did inscribing of their property to help them identify if they ever have missing property, that we can help them out with it. I had a HIDA meet and greet. HIDA is our high intensity drug trafficking area. And so they came down from El Paso, did a meet and greet. They provided me some opportunities for training for our guys, and also to talk about the work that our two officers are doing with DEA. And so great work, and they have money coming in for us, thank goodness. Soros Rodeo kept us busy, and it was good to building our relationship with the sheriff's office and with the University DPS. Soros liked to party, all right, and so the other universities, Texas Tech came down, big party schools, and so we basically corralled them there at the Crystal Bar and made sure that our presence was being seen and kept any problems from happening that night. I woke up on Sunday morning thinking I was going to get called, and I kept on looking at my phone, and I received no calls. I ended up calling about 6:30 in the morning before the night shift got off, just to verify what happened last night, because I don't see anything. And he goes, no, we pretty much took care of the Crystal Bar and made sure everybody got home safe. There was no calls, no fights. So everything went down beautifully during Soros Rodeo. And our guys also made their presence seen there at the rodeo itself. So we had a good opportunity out there. And here later on, I'll show you some of these pictures. National Night Out was last week, and that was a great event. The response from the community was outstanding. Apparently, I gotta give something else other than hot dogs, but so hot dogs and Frito-Lay products were the meal, and so we put that out there for everybody. We had a lot of people show up. We stayed busy the entire time, interacting and having activities for everyone out there. And so first picture we got this is our active shooter training. This is over at the high school. It was great to have all these agencies working together, and because if y'all remember back in 2016 when we had our school shooting, we all had to work together, and it's important that we continuously work through this and get this training down to a work of art. Also in January, we're looking at having the alert training. It's an active shooter training that came down, I think it was 2019. And so we're looking at bringing that back again. Excuse me, 2020. Next one, we have the TMPA came down and provided the 87th legislative update. And then next one, we have Lieutenant Kaufman and myself posing there at the 9/11 Memorial at Border Patrol. Next one, we have our guys over at the church across the street from the high school, and Alpine Memorial Funeral Home provided the meal there. It was delicious.
Would they pay?
Brisket.
They don't give hot dogs, huh?
Yeah, and I had hot dogs, right?
Come on, chief. Step
They
up.
make
I
more
had more of a
money-
crowd.
they make more money than-
So, National Night Out, again, one of the things that, and it's called National Night Out is because it's a national program, all right? We actually have to pay into using their logo, to using their products. And so this happened across, most areas choose the October 5th as the national. They put out what day they're gonna use it. And so all the agencies are doing it that same night. So part of it is in bigger cities, they have like the little cul-de-sac areas, and the neighborhood will say, all right, we're gonna do National Night Out in our neighborhood. We want the police department to come out. And so the larger agencies will go out to different areas. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because it's usually on our council meeting night, if y'all remember that. And so that was always like, well, why is it interfering? Well, because it's called a National Night Out, because everybody's doing it that same day. Unfortunately, usually it's our city council night. We were real fortunate this last time we didn't have that, but we're interacting with the community, trying to build our relationship with the community. We want them to trust us. We want them to know who we are. And so that they can feel comfortable with us when they call us and they understand who we're dealing with. The one thing that I always push is that I have an open door, all right? So if anybody comes looking for Daryl Lasoya, if they don't see me at the police department and they see me at Porter's or something, they start talking to me. When I interviewed with y'all, my house is the substation. And so I have people coming to my house and all times a day and wanting to talk to me about some of the problems they're having. That's the relationship we want to build, right? And so y'all are the same way. I know that you're receiving calls all times of the day. And so we continue to build that for our community. And so this is what National Night Out is to also build that relationship and to interact with that. A lot of these guys, they're on night shift. People don't know who these officers are because they're the ones that take care of us in the middle of the night. And so it gives them an opportunity to interact with them. This one we have Officer Wyatt Chopolis, and that's Lieutenant Kirk Kaufman in the back of it. He's out there serving the food. And so we had a good night for National Night Out. So the next one we have having to work with the Alpine Public Schools. Again, it's important so that the kids know who we are and so they can build a positive relationship. If during the active shooter 2016, I'm banging on the door, trying to get them to open up, and the people recognize my voice inside. And so that's a good thing. And so they trusted and they let me in. I made sure everybody was safe and resecured it and made sure and went back out there. And so we want to build that relationship again with the schools and with the staff and with the principals and superintendent. One of the things I do every year is I put out a sex offender advisory list. And so basically all our sex offenders, I put them on sheets of paper so that they can have it. So that if somebody comes up and they know he's a sex offender, they can figure out what to do. They also do the driver's license scan at most of the school districts. And so if they come up positive, if somebody comes up positive as a sex offender, they can go to their list and say, oh, no, he's not a sex offender. The name is the same, but it's a different person. So that's one of the reasons I also do it. Following the school buses before and after school, most of the sheriff's office, they're going to be at the schools during the school zones. And so what I have our guys doing is following the school buses, making sure that the people are minding their P's and Q's when they're out in the streets and they're not passing the school bus or being reckless around the children. And then during the activities, football games, basketball games, when the people are outside and their vehicles are parked, I want to make sure our guys are going through there, making sure that no one's breaking into cars. And I know there's still a lot of people in Alpine that don't lock their vehicles up when they go inside stores or schools and stuff like that. So I want to make sure our guys are watching on who's getting into cars. And assist the school resource officers maintaining the school security. So some of the upcoming fall events, tomorrow we have Domestic Violence Awareness March, and that's going to be coming from the University Circle. I think it's still going to be called Circle. From the library down to Soros Avenue to the courthouse gazebo. And we have a wonderful guest of Lori Verk, who is the mother of Zuzu Verk. She came down Sunday for her daughter's fifth anniversary of her death, and met with her earlier today. And just we're happy to have her in Alpine. It's gonna be great that she's gonna be present tomorrow at the march. Again, these are some upcoming fall events. We have the Alpine High School Homecoming Parade and Bonfire, which is always a big deal. We have AMS and high school football games, and we have Soros State University football games. We'll go out there and assist UDPS as much as possible. And I put it out on Facebook, gave everybody a little tease on what's coming up. We have the pumpkin patch. I have the pumpkin patch again. Porter's is kind enough to donate us the pumpkins, and so we're going to be putting a pumpkin patch. This time we're going to make it a little differently. We're going to do it over at the elementary school front yard, because most of the kids are going to be in their costumes on Friday. This is going to be for October 29th, and they're going to be in their costumes and keep them from having to walk in their costumes all the way to the park. So we'll do that in the front yard of the elementary school. I put out for volunteers, so if anybody wants to be volunteering on Friday or Saturday, come join us. I have Heather Yaden with the Visitor Center helping me out, coordinate all this, and it's going to be a great event. I'm excited to do this again. And that's as much as for the big event that's coming up is Warrant Roundup. I've met with Judge Cole, and we've set up a warrant roundup, and I'm sure Alexandra's had some people paying their bills. They don't want to go to jail, and so there gives them the opportunity to pay up before it's time to come pick them up, basically. We have increased our relationship together, working with each other, coming in as bailiff and meeting with everybody one-on-one. We've even had the opportunity, a gentleman came over and he had some ACO problems that we worked with each other and try to get this worked out. And so the warrant roundup is going to be October 19th. And again, they put it out in the newspaper, we put it out on Facebook. So we've given everybody plenty of time to take care of their warrants, get them taken care of before you end up in pokey. All right. And so working as the chief for the month of September, my first month, we've had 268 911 calls. Most of those are non-emergency, and so we'll break them down as 3 fires, 56 ambulance calls, and 522 police calls, but not along the 911, but they were also non-emergency. And we have 26 cases, 4 being motor vehicle accidents. See, 31 citations. And on the bottom of the list, I've included attempted suicide. And the reason I included that, we have attempted suicides all the time. And unfortunately, but this one, the reason I put it on here is because it could have gone south really quick. And our officers that were working night shift de-escalated the situation. And thank God that this person is doing better now. And I got his number now. We text each other just to make sure that he's okay. but the situation could have gone really south really fast. And fortunately, with the officers training, they took care of that. And that's why I included it on there. Big thing is we're hiring, right? We currently have 3 officer positions and 1 dispatch position. And today I interviewed a young lady for an internship. And the reason we're going to internship with her is because she's a full-time college student. She's fixing to graduate from Soros with a criminal justice degree, but she's also working on her master's for computer science and cybersecurity. And so we're going to push her to get graduated, and maybe after she's done with her internship, we can hire her on full-time as a dispatcher. But while she's with us interning, we're going to get her feet wet. We're going to teach her how the ropes of the police department. And so that more than likely, I think this little girl's going to go federal. One of the things that I talked to Megan about, if I've been here now with the police department for 27 years, I have seen a lot of people come and go. We have a lot of people that have made great names for themselves, that graduated from Soros State University, that have worked for Alpine Police Department. Number one is Heath Hardwick. I mean, 2019, Vice President Pence mentioned him on one of his trips, talking about the great work that Heath Hardwick is doing. And so I'm okay with being a stepping stone. All right. I'm going to ask for them to put a few years in with me, just so that I can get my money off of them. But we provide great training. And when officers go to Midland Police Department or they go to other big police agencies, those agencies are going to want them because they're well trained, they're good officers, and I'll keep on taking them from the academy and showing them the ropes and teach them how to be a police officer. But it's important that we continue to develop our training, improve our training, and get these officers well trained.
Daryl, are these positions new positions, or are you filling positions that have been vacated?
These are vacant positions. Yes.
Who have we lost?
So Martin, Will, and then we had that other position before that.
Oh.
Yes. And right now we went to El Paso Community College to try to recruit over there, and we've got a couple of bites over there that they're a lot of it is these are young guys or gals and they're not too sure about being 3 hours away from home. And so it was funny because the guys were talking about the work that we do here at Alpine Police Department, and one of the instructors said, he goes, I've been Alpine, I've seen these guys work in top-notch law enforcement agency, and so it looks good on us. It's hard to draw these people in from other towns, and so we just got to keep on fighting to get these officers over here. So, but it's we have one officer that came from El Paso Community College, so we took him with us to say, you know what, look, this officer, he's done well for himself. He's making his home in Alpine, and so it's good.
Is there academy going on right now?
Yes, ma'am. And all our officers teach at the academy, and so they have
How many kids?
9 officers. 9 officers work in the academy right now, or 9 cadets in the academy, and so we're
And who's at height of,
sorry,
who's your height of people right now?
I'd rather not say that.
I wasn't here when we voted on you. My daughter got real sick,
Yes, ma'am.
so I didn't get to go. I vote for Daryl. Just telling you, I'm voting for Daryl.
Thank you.
So just wanted to get that in there.
Yes, ma'am.
I didn't get to do it.
Thank you.
I did it in my car.
Like I said, I'm real happy to be here, and I got 27 years in. We'll see how far I go.
You got 27 more in you, Daryl.
I just turned 50, so I'm doing
See
pretty good.
there?
I started this at this agency when I was 23, so I've seen a lot. Yeah.
You were already out of the Navy?
Yes, sir. I was already on the Navy. I got in the Navy in '93, started PD in '94. So, any questions?
I got a couple of comments. First, well, three maybe. You guys are doing a great job, and I'm glad that you're interacting with the community more because of the mood of the country right now, where, you know, police are looked down upon and stuff. And yeah, there are issues, but overall, you know, they're doing a thankless job oftentimes. So thank you for that. Also, the second one, you said the stepping stone. It's not a stepping stone. Okay, it's leadership that helps these guys go up to higher positions. So with that, I'd like to thank you and also the officers for the great job they do.
You know, right now with Kirk and with Philip, it would be almost impossible. And I'm really proud to have them on board with me. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, we're going to move on to public hearings. And public hearings to obtain citizen views and comments on short-term rental special use permit applications. Do we have anybody for that?
Karen Cantrell would like to speak.
Karen.
Thanks for letting me speak again. I have nothing against folks with short-term rentals trying to make a buck. That's great. I'm just worried that all these little permits are causing all these little pubs around town. We don't have the police force to manage that, as we just heard. Okay. I don't know. I don't know how the incidents have been going. I don't know if they're behaving. I don't know if they cut off at a certain day, like time like bars do. You know, I don't know that. But I would like more information on it, because you do have a bunch of little pubs all over town. And when things get out of hand, you know, everybody can carry a gun now. People get drunk, go out and shoot. I don't want to be around that. I'm sure you guys don't either. So, I mean, maybe we'll get some more information before we start issuing this all the time. Get some facts and some data. I would really like them to see that kind of stuff. So thank you for listening.
Thank you, Karen. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
Are we allowed to speak on a specific?
You have to come up if it's pertaining to this, but the short-term rentals.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Are
And
we
can you
allowed to
state your name for the record, please?
Okay, Amelia Rodriguez, Ward 4. Are we allowed to speak on a specific one?
No, just on
Yes.
this right here, the short
She's
term.
actually, I spoke
What?
with her about one of these. She's here to speak on one of the applications.
Okay, sure.
I'm allowed?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Well, I want to object to the one on 1208 East Avenue F. I submitted a brief note, but actually I had more to say about it. So it's not a commercial zone, it's a residential. And I don't know, but would this establish an open door for anybody and everybody in that area? Would it? I'm not sure about that, but I don't want other businesses. I don't want this business set up. It would mean 10 feet residence of our residents in any direction. So we have a lot of strangers, and then the amount of high volume of activity in our backyard. And the risk, of course, would be safety for our neighborhood, our family, our children, our elderly. And like Daryl pointed before, we have Amber Alerts all the time. So I'm afraid of all that. So I'm going to vote no on the 1208. Besides the fact that I witnessed some abuse of our area before, and this last weekend was homecoming and we had some activity there. So I'm wondering whether the owners were actually already using without the permit. So that's what I have to say. That's my home. I live at 1302 East Avenue F.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Amelia, unfortunately, on the permits for short-term rentals, the state has mandated that we can't refuse them. But we can look at other issues on that, okay? You want to comment? Please step up here, ma'am.
So
And you can talk to our city attorney. He can give you
The Texas Supreme Court has ruled that short-term rentals are legal and that cities cannot block them.
I'm not. Good, so why even submit a special use if they're not gonna be blocked?
It's still,
The city tries to regulate them by making sure they're safe. That's about all we can do.
Well, I've already witnessed unsafe conditions there, so I've already submitted a written request, and I hope you guys vote no, because I didn't want to say this, but I have an elderly mother and I have grandchildren, and we're there, and it's the I'm just afraid of the high volume that would be coming into our neighborhood. Once you allow one in, I know the state, whatever it is, the federal, whatever, but I don't want it. Our neighborhood doesn't want it. So I don't know why you even take the time to send us notices if we can't object to it.
you're right. Thank you, Mary. Anybody else? Do you have a comment?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I did.
Okay.
Yes, Paulus, and I'm in Ward 2, just FYI on the public comment, the council and your attorney cannot respond to any questions that your public puts out to you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Okay, and we're going to move on to the consent agenda. Minutes, financial reports, department written reports, board appointments, etc. Notice to the public. The following items are of routine administrative nature. The council has been furnished with background and support material on each item, and/or it has been discussed at a previous meeting. All items will be acted upon by one vote without being discussed separately unless requested by a council member, in which event the item or items will immediately be withdrawn for individual consideration in the normal sequence after the items are not requiring separate discussion have been acted upon. The remaining items will be adopted by one vote. And city manager.
Approval of September 21st, 2021 regular meeting minutes. You want me to read yours too? Sure. Approval of Amit Rangraj, Chair of the Planning and Zoning Commission. Approval of animal control job description. Approval of fourth quarter investment report. Approval of short-term rental special use permit application for 612 East Avenue E. Owners of record are Dana D. Andrade. And 1208 East Avenue F. Owners of record are Robert and Sandra Rice.
Okay, I'll entertain the motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, discussion. No discussion, then we'll go ahead and vote on it. All those in favor, raise your right hand. It's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, let's move on to information and discussion items. Minutes, and Chris, that's yours.
I'd actually like to table that till next week until I can get the information that I had requested and we can include it in the presentation.
Okay. So you want to table it?
Yes.
Okay. Let's go to item 2. City manager.
We are going to discuss the Holiday Inn lift station. Just so you are aware, I did receive an email in regards to the Holiday Inn lift station during the meeting. The Holiday Inn lift station is the one that's located near the Holiday Inn, hence why it's given its name. I mean, just a real short presentation, and what I really wanted to do is really just to make everyone aware of how important these things are. Currently, the Holiday Inn lift station is affected by the Marathon lift station, which is right down the road. The Holiday Inn lift station was actually paid for by Holiday Inn. They're the ones who started the project. And I have a little bit of background here. Before they came in to build, they wanted to ensure, of course, that they could have all the services needed to operate the hotel, which at the end did cost them the installation of the lift station. Currently, Sul Ross State University and the Holiday Inn both feed into this lift station. And to not be graphic, but when residents and visitors of the hotel flush their toilets, everything goes to this one station where it kind of gets grounded, however you want, chopped up, and then pushed to the Marathon lift station where it's repeated again and then gets pushed out to our wastewater treatment plant. The problem is when certain items get flushed, they don't properly deconstruct. To this day, I am amazed. I did not know you could flush jeans down the toilet. I don't see how it's like you're capable of doing it. No, I will not try. Some items are easily digested by these pumps and these lift stations. Other items are not. When this was put in around 2012-13, when the project was completed, pretty much until 2016, going back through the financial side of it, it was just regular maintenance. It's priming, it's repairs, it's, updating some electrical, nothing really major. In 2017, one of the pumps was replaced. And just so you can kind of get an idea, each station operates with 2 different pumps. So basically they're just there pumping the sludge and the waste back and forth to be able to push it out to our wastewater plant. What they call a chopper pump. So think of it like a food chopper. It's dicing and slicing all the material that comes its way at a cost of $15,000. In 2018, a year later, that pump was replaced again at a cost of $20,000. In September of 18, the second pump was replaced at a cost of about $8,000. Finance side, sorry, $8,371.63. In 2019, the repairs continued. It's an expense on the city because we have to have employees out there to monitor them, to make sure they're properly working, they don't overheat, that they don't look clogged, that the sewage doesn't back up. This past year has been one unbelievable year. We have replaced one or both pumps 3 times within 4 months. These are $15,000 to $20,000 pumps a shot. We continue to have big issues with the Holiday and the Marathon lift station. Currently, the Marathon lift station is not working. That was the email I received, which puts added pressure on the Holiday Inn lift station, which means we will be paying overtime to have employees out there to monitor it so that the hotel hopefully doesn't have issues. We've had multiple vendor input. We've repeatedly bought different types of pumps. We've had other vendors tell us how we should install it, what we should add, what we should subtract, what would work best, what wouldn't work best. Ultimately, does the city want to spend $1.6 million and do a sewer interceptive project that would bring in the whole east side? If the city had 1.6, that would be the easy solution. We currently don't, and we also have a wastewater treatment plant who wouldn't really be able to operate with all that additional sludge coming its direction. I wanted to bring this to the council's attention because we are going to ask the engineers to help us to come up with a solution that will last 3 to 5 years to allow the city to build and actually at the end do that east side sewer project so that we could incorporate all the additional businesses that aren't currently even on our sewer system. This would be a temporary solution for the Holiday Inn Hotel, and it would be a benefit to Sul Ross since they're both utilizing it. The Holiday Inn is just the first impact. It's the easiest release of the sludge. It doesn't want to go up the hill to Sul Ross. It wants to stay right there where it's located. There are a lot of suggestions that have been made in regards to adding what they call rag traps, which would catch things like this. This is a young gentleman's underwear, what's left of a pair of jeans. This all gets trapped, as you can see on the picture to the farthest inside the actual pump and burns it up. It can't process it, it can't digest it, it can't push it in any direction. Those 2 items cost the city $20,000. We have made phone calls to Sul Ross and kind of said, hey, can you monitor your students? They're flushing things that, to this day, I do not know how you get down a toilet. The hotelier has been working with us, and I wish he'd stayed a little bit longer, but he did provide additional information. So over the course of the next several meetings, this item will be up for discussion and action so that we can relieve the pressure off of these two lift stations. So that one, they don't continue to back up. It could cost us at the end with TCQ if we don't properly maintain and record any spillage. And three, he can't, as a hotelier, expand. There's no possible way for him to add any more economic development in this area. He can't build, he can't add a restaurant if he wanted to, because he has no real way of knowing if a customer flushes the toilet, it's not gonna come all back up. So it's one piece to our big problem. And this is what I really want not only the public, but the council to know, is as we work through these pieces, we do rely on the expert guidance from the engineers. We do listen to our vendors who have worked with us for years and years, but it hasn't been working. So we're gonna bring in that engineer and we're gonna come up with a solution that will allow us to look at the bigger picture down the road so that we can maintain what we need to maintain and allow him a little bit of peace of mind that he's not gonna get a 6 a.m. phone call, just like the water guys get a 6 a.m. phone call, that there's a sewer backup, that there's sludge in their driveway. As we work through this, you kind of learn how all the pieces interact. The lift station pushes it all to the wastewater treatment plant, which we have to ensure can handle everything that's being pushed towards it, that those pieces of the operation are working properly. So this is step 1.1111A of the whole process to get this whole system back to where it needs to be. As we go through each of the pieces, the city council and the public will start to learn basically how all of this interacts. So when you do flush your toilet and you know your child decides to throw a teddy bear down there, which has been done, that you understand as it goes through the system, it may or may not make it the full length. So it's just to be very open here. And as the expenses start coming before council, the RFPs, knowing that as we fix each portion of the system, at the end, we will have a up and running complete network again. And he was going to do his presentation.
Yeah.
Can you help me understand a little bit about this? You mentioned at the beginning that the hotel paid for the lift station.
Yes. So
prior to that, now that Saros is lumped into it, prior to that, where was Saros at?
I believe the Marathon lift station. So this was an additional lift station to take on additional sludge.
So if the hotel paid for it, why did we throw Saros in there?
I can't answer that. That would have probably been an issue maybe going on with the Marathon, and they thought that they could deviate or divert it to assist it. I had the same question.
Yeah, because I understand his frustration, on his business if they paid for the lift station, and now to have other the Saros or whoever else is plugged in. I mean, I understand his frustration there. I mean,
so one of the solutions and where we want the engineer to really have that, this is where it needs to go, is there are devices like the bar screen that's going out at the wastewater treatment plant that go before it actually comes to the actual pumps and the grinders that would trap the larger items, your underwear, your shoes, your jeans, anything and everything. And then that could be monitored easier than actually having to remove whole pumps to figure out what has happened.
so when Marathon is out, we're basically putting in all our stuff
onto the
hotel.
Holiday Inn lift station.
I mean,
So-
is there no other way? I mean, I just feel that.
And that's why we really want the engineer. We want to understand why it's going back and forth between two lift stations. Is it the size of the pumps and we need to redesign the lift station and have one larger one? Is it we need to have a larger one and then put in what they call rag traps? Do we need the two separate ones, but both of them need all new outfittings? Vendors will always help you with what you need to buy. We want the engineers to come in and tell us what will actually work and how long, what kind of maintenance we need on it.
And how fast can you get the engineers in here?
They're actually kind of aware of the situation. When they were out here last month, we had issues with the Holiday Inn lift station. So we did have kind of the, what would you do, or what would it cost for you to help us kind of conversation. So they are prepared. We just need to give them the go ahead. And after this weekend and repeated weekends and repeated replacements of pumps, it's an investment that the city needs to do.
Do we have the money for that?
Yes.
It's already been allocated for that purpose.
We have 500,000 set aside for improvements to the wastewater treatment plant, which includes this, because this is one of the parts of the system. There's actually some other items that can be reallocated to address this specific concern. And that's actually on the agenda coming up, not the 19th, but the 2nd. We are finding every way possible to accomplish what we can with what we have.
What kind of overtime are we spending sending guys out there all the time to fix this?
It varies. This past weekend,
Just hour wise, they're out there a lot.
the last real big one that was addressed with council, I do believe he sent the email. We put in, combined with all of them, around 26 hours. You had one employee who had to constantly go out there every 2 hours just to get it to run. We do have a vendor, Skinner Well Service, coming out tomorrow morning to pull the pump out of the Marathon lift station, which of course is connected, and to replace with what we have as a backup. So I know Mr. Johnson had mentioned in a discussion, can we just buy in bulk and have them for backup inventory? Well, yes, we can, but we really don't want to do that. But we do have a few pumps because we know we are going to continue to have issues.
Any more questions for Bacon? Okay, we'll move over to Ms. Stokes.
I'd like to discuss the Union Pacific notice of increased speed in or around Alpine, Texas from 50 to 70. We were made aware September 27th that Union Pacific is raising their speed from 50 to 70. I don't think we can stop them, but they gave us parameters and I was unsure where that parameter was. Where were they slowing down and where are they going to speed up and then are they going to slow back down? So I'm assuming that I don't know what that is.
Well, actually,
I'm sure it means something.
So Daryl and I did receive a phone call from Raquel from the Union Pacific, who is not our local rep.
Okay.
Who told me to give her a call back. I asked Daryl to come over because he was gracious enough to track down the actual location of it.
I know.
And pictures of it, which you'll notice it's closer going out of town towards Sol Ross. We made the follow-up phone call. She did not respond. We left a message and I have yet to hear back.
And I guess they don't have to. Can you figure out where they're speeding up?
So, yes, ma'am. So one of the things that I learned is the new engineer that we have working in Alpine, he's been really nice. Unfortunately, he's going through some family problems that he's having to get over with. Well, when Chief Scam went for the train ride, when Union Pacific was talking about starting to stop the train here in Alpine,
Yes.
one of the things that we thought about back then was, thank goodness the train's going to slow down and stop in Alpine. But this is before they were blocking Fish Street. And so, so that's how we thought about it. Not very many trains just do a drive through Alpine. And it scares the living daylights when I see them do that because they can they're still hustling through town. And so here at West Highway 90, the underpass, that is 609. That's mile marker 609 for the train. So as you're going underneath the train, right above is where the train will come to
We'll go back
slow
to
down. Yes, ma'am. We'll go down and slow down.
Okay, so it's not like, oh, let's slow down over here because
Right.
That's a long way.
Right. And so the one on the east side of town is over by RES.
And that's where
And
the
that's
speed that goes up.
604.5. So either way, if you think about it, going,
It's still a little ways.
Right.
It's not these crossings.
the one that worries me is the one on the west side, because you think of most people in the automobile, they're gonna be going, when the speed limit's 50, they're gonna be doing 60, right? But trains are a little bit different because they have actually the
Momentum.
well, they have somebody watching what they're doing. They're in Nebraska, so they have
Okay.
people watching
Yes.
how fast these guys are doing, and if they're violating any of their rules. And so they're gonna be slowing down beyond that. When the train used to come in, when they first started coming into Alpine, this was probably 96, 97. They were going too fast along that turn, and then they would start coming to town. Their knuckle that holds the cars together would break, and so we were constantly out there on the east side of town, helping them spotlight where they can hook up their knuckles back up. And so it is scary, the idea of a train going 50 miles per hour through Alpine. There were some years back, Philip posted pictures from, if y'all remember Harold Fram, our police officer here. He took pictures from a helicopter when we had the derailment right downtown, right next to Foxworth lumber store. And so there was cars scattered out there. And so the idea of the train going 50 miles per hour through Alpine, it is a scary situation.
Chief, in Marfa, they go 70 through Marfa.
Right.
sometimes.
And so if you
Well, I
go
know
back,
we can't stop them. I just kind of was wondering where exactly this was gonna start happening.
so this is this picture here that y'all see, that is on the west side of town. That is, you see there, it says 609. And so on their
Could you
slowdown
show-
is 608 and a
Can you
half.
show it to the public?
So they'll
So you
start slowing
Kind
down
of
there.
get an idea.
Yes,
But when they hit there, they have to be at 50?
yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Not, oh, now we're gonna start slowing down, because it's gonna take a year to
Right,
get to
exactly.
50.
And then when they
And
get
so-
here, they go.
And so this is 605, and this is over by RES, and it's it's on the paper, 604 and a half. And so it'll be on the opposite side of this, probably closer to where the animal shelter's at, where they have to be at 50 miles per hour.
And do you know approximately how many of these trains go by within?
But nonstop, I
Mhm.
don't.
Is it quite a few? I mean,
Amtrak.
I see maybe one or two a week.
It's decreased.
Yeah.
Living right by the railroad tracks,
Yeah, I'm sure you.
the number of trains that like don't stop, that completely go through, from when I first lived over there till now, has decreased significantly. Most come in and they do stop and block the intersections. Amtrak, they slow down further into town. Maybe it's because they're a smaller,
They can stop on a dime too. They have the brakes for that.
but it's very few that come through. If one or two, if that many a week that don't stop. Even at night, they stop.
I say dime, that was just sarcastic compared to the other trains.
Well, I thank you for the visual. That was my problem. I
Right.
couldn't,
Right.
they gave us those mile markers and I was like, that, to me, it could have
If
been
you
right
look-
here. I didn't know.
The bad thing right now, like I told you, his name is Joel Stovall. Great guy, but he's going through some family problems right now. And so he wasn't even aware of this because he was out in New Mexico at the time. And so, yeah.
Well, I just felt like I don't think the public knew that this was happening.
No,
We got this.
all of a sudden, Megan says this,
Yeah.
I get an email, I'm
Thanks,
like,
Megan. I was like, what?
right?
So we at least have an idea now.
Yes, ma'am.
That's all I was.
And the one that worries me the most is the one on the west side of town.
And there, just so the public knows, the information is in the packet, which is online, and it does have a phone number for you to call if you are concerned.
I don't think we can argue it. My problem was, where is it?
Or can we argue with?
Well,
Go right ahead.
if I could speak to Raquel, I could ask her what the city could do as a safety measure. If we could ask that it be pushed back or not.
If you can find out if she knows how many come through down here that don't.
Oh, yeah.
At least get that number. I don't think it's a lot anymore either. It used to be
No, it was a regular thing.
a lot, so. Well, thank you, Daryl. That was my question.
Okay. Anything else on that?
I think I'm good.
You're good? Okay. Let's move on to item number 9, action items to be accompanied by a brief statement of facts, including where funds are coming from, if applicable. And we'll go, there's 10 per meeting, and we'll start with the city manager.
Approved declaration of local state of disaster due to international border crisis.
Okay,
I move that we approve the declaration of local state of disaster due to an international border crisis.
okay, need a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, and discussion. Megan, would you like to kind of?
So, and Daryl's here. Daryl and Marcy have been working on this, and this is actually, the county has already done a declaration, and many of the towns and the counties in this area have done a declaration as well. Due to the recent events of the illegal immigration activity, it has been declared I don't want to say a national disaster, but a disaster at the state level. And one of the opportunities that the city has is if we, actually, you know what, I really would prefer Daryl to explain this one, because him and Marcy have been working hand in hand on this, and I don't want to mess it up for them.
Okay, yeah.
So, and this is the Lone Star grant that y'all saw earlier on Megan's grant presentation. So this is going to give us an opportunity to apply for some grants that can assist us. And we're already doing it. If we have to deal with an illegal immigrant, we contact Border Patrol, and if we need to, we release them to Border Patrol. And so this just continues to show that we're working along with our federal co-parts and to make sure that we're doing our part in immigration. In the fight against it.
And it's a two-part thing. So the first part is the state basically has declared a disaster due to immigration. You've seen recent events with Del Rio. The county passed the declaration because Brewster County obviously is right there on the border, and the sheriff's department is continuously, sheriff's office is continuously working with the federal agencies along with their own staffing to secure that border. Illegals come up into Alpine. They migrate this direction, and our police department kind of joins in and picks up the issue with the immigrants as well. Because the state has made this a declaration, counties and cities have the opportunity to do the same in order to be eligible for additional funding. So once again, it's the two-parter is, yes, we acknowledge that immigration has become an unfortunate disaster in this area, especially for cities and counties along the border. But then the second item is, as a resolution, we're applying for the additional funding to assist with the immigrant issues.
So bottom line, we're eligible for resources and to apply for resources.
Yes.
Okay.
But this is not one of the ones that has matching, or does it?
There's no matching.
Thank you, Daryl. Okay, motion's been, any more discussion? Motion's been made and second. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, motion's unanimous. Thank you all. Let's go to item 2, city manager.
This would be the second part, to approve resolution 2021-10-01, a resolution authorizing the city to participate in the State Homeland Security fiscal year 2022 Operation Lone Star Grant Program.
Okay, so entertain a motion.
I move that we approve resolution 2021-10-01, a resolution authorizing the city to participate in the State Homeland Security fiscal year 2022 Operation Lone Star Grant Program.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion's made, second. Discussion now. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay, item 3,
Approve fiscal year 2021-2022 tax collection agreement with Brewster County.
Okay,
I move that we approve fiscal year 2021-2022 tax collection agreement with Brewster County.
second.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion made, second discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. It's unanimous. Okay, let's go to item number 4.
Approve recommendation from the Airport Advisory Board for council to direct city manager to use a portion of budgeted street monies currently available for construction of necessary taxiways that will connect hangar 43 to 46 to existing taxiway system.
Okay,
I move that we approve recommendation from the Airport Advisory Board for council to direct city manager to use a portion of budgeted street monies currently available for construction of necessary taxiways that will connect hangars 43 to 46 to existing taxiway system.
okay, is there a second?
Second it.
Okay, discussion.
On this, I guess I'm just questioning the budgeted street monies. So we're kind of on schedule and all that. Doing this, does this take away?
Yes.
Okay, so we don't have anything allotted separate for this, and there is no extra money on the street repairs to accomplish this.
Not right now.
And, I'm going to speak against it also because, they want to take monies from the streets. That's a top priority. And it's just for a chosen group. And I know it's an important project for them, but we've got to look at the majority of what the residents of Alpine really need. So we need to consider that. We might revisit later on in the year or next year maybe to see if we have any monies available. But for right now, I wouldn't recommend that we approve this. Okay. And also the second thing, when they lease that property from us, from the city, I don't think in there it said that we were responsible for paving those hangars up to the main taxiways. So they signed the contract, with full knowledge of that. So again, at this time, I don't feel that we should give them the monies. Okay. Or take the money out of the streets. So any more discussion?
I just want to say that I do realize that they do bring in quite a bit of money, fuel and that type of thing. And I understand that. And I understand that I know promises were made at previous times. And I would like to honor those. But I too think that they need to go maybe back to the drawing board and help us out on where this money is going to come from. Because our streets are very important. We've gone through quite a bit to try to get to the point that we are at. So I would recommend that they go back and help us out. Come back with ideas on where we can get this money without taking it away from something as important as our city streets, which all of us in Alpine are using.
I can agree, Chris. I visited with Kate about this. I said, could we do half at a time out of your capital improvement plan? I said, absolutely. I'm not taking from these roads.
Yeah.
I have to drive on them too. And I'm not doing it.
Okay, any more discussion? So all those in favor of approving the motion, raise your right hand. All those against, raise your right hand. Okay, it's unanimous against. Thank you. Okay, item number 5.
Approve the contract for city attorney.
Okay, need a motion?
I make a motion, we approve the contract for city attorney.
Okay, second.
I'll second.
Okay, discussion.
I won't bore everyone, but I think it's fairly well known how I feel. I still feel that there needs to be a little bit of accountability.
Okay,
It is taxpayers' money that we're dealing with.
you're absolutely correct. Any more discussion? All those in favor of the motion, raise your right hand. Okay, it's 3-1, 3, 4, and 1 against.
Just to clarify, you are voting against, right?
Yes, he's against. Okay, now we'll go to city council comments. We'll start with you, Judy. Tell us about your experience at TML.
Oh, we went to TML, it was great. I met people that I'd met when I went in July to the new council member thing. They all have water, wastewater problems. They have the exact, everybody sits and shakes their head. It's the exact same problems out here as it is in the whole state. Wanted to thank Randy for his presentation. It's great. Thank you, Daryl. You're doing what should have been being done for a lots of years. Bringing it all back, get out there and talk to everybody. Keep up the good work.
Chris?
We have some wonderful reports. Randy, once again, thank you. You always seem to be on top of your department. We never hear any issues. You always pass your inspections with flying colors. It's always not just passing, but awesome work. And I want to thank you and your staff.
I also want to thank you for your hard work, and you too, Daryl. I really appreciate you. I think rodeo was a great success, and your fellows were out there and we saw them everywhere. So I want to thank you for keeping our city safe.
Jay?
And I agree with the comments that Judy and Chris, Sarah made for the department. And I'd also like to, on behalf of the council, offer our condolences to Rod for the loss of his brother.
Thank you.
But our condolences. Want to thank you, Chief Randy. Great job you guys are doing. Randy, you always go the extra mile. And again, the quiet department we don't hear about. And that's when somebody's doing a good job, you never hear it. But again, kudos to your team. So make sure you do tell
I'll
them.
relay it to them.
I do have
Chief?
another comment.
Chief, again, I'm glad that your troops are out there visiting with the neighbors and whatnot and building up that relationship, because yeah, too often people see a policeman. It's like when I was growing up, the policeman was your best friend. You know, we kind of gotten away from that. And I think what you're doing is rebuilding that morale between the city, the citizens of the city and the police department. So great job. Thank you. Okay, Ms. Yu.
I have a comment. I agree with Karen. We're giving these liquor licenses to these Airbnbs, and I have the same concern you have. My only redeeming grace in it is if they're at the bars, they're having to drive home. If they're getting that Airbnb, unless they get in a big fight, and we'll call Daryl, maybe they'll just get drunk and stay there. That's the only hope I have with it. I don't know. I don't think there's enough background to go, well, this has happened, and this has happened. I think it's a wait and see. And if we don't like them, I guess we'll go in and tell them to quit drinking. I don't know.
Well, it was my understanding that the licenses they were receiving was for in-house guests only.
Yeah, but they can drink.
I understand, but I mean, it's not like there's a bar on every corner.
Well, and I know, and it feels like there is, though, if we're gonna give them to 100 houses, then I agree, you have 100 little bars. But I'm hoping that they go home and just sit there and drink in that nice B&B. Just hope those are nice Airbnbs that they're getting in. That's all you can hope.
And I agree with Judy and Karen on
Just to
that.
point out
And-
that we're not supposed to have a discussion.
Oh, okay. Thank you, sir. We're getting away from it.
Well,
She was
thank
just
you.
making her comments to the public.
Right.
Okay, you got out of that. Okay, so we had to go into executive session, and the city council reserves the right to adjourn to executive session at any time during the course of this meeting to discuss any of the matters listed on the posted agenda above, as authorized by the Texas Government Code, section 551.071, consultation with attorney, 551.072, deliberations about real property, 551.073, deliberations about gifts and donations, 551.074, personal matters, and .551.076, deliberations about security devices, and 551.086, economic development. So I will entertain a motion to get out of regular session.
I move that we get out of regular session and go into executive session to deliberate and consider the sale of city property located in block 27, original town site to the city of Alpine.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, we're gonna go into executive session. And the time is
7:30.
7:30. 4. Okay. Motion to get out of executive session.
If you could repeat, let me see if anybody's outside.
There's Cynthia's walking out there. Okay, so let's get out of executive session.
I make a motion to come out of executive session at 7:53.
Okay, need a second?
Second it.
All those in favor? Okay, we're out of executive session and back into regular session.
Who made that motion?
I did.
Chair.
Sarah. And we all voted for it.
Okay, so we're out of executive session and I need a motion.
Make a motion to allow Megan to go back to the county, work out a few of the details we discussed.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Discussion? Okay, all those in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Thank you very much. It's adjourned.
Before you leave, I want to visit with you for just.
Yeah.
Can I ask who seconded that last one?
I did.
Judy made it.
I will call him.
Thank you.